Hey guys, what's up? It's Patio FM again, and today I have another valuable video related to OnlyFans content and the general structure that you should be going after when it comes to making content to grow on OnlyFans. If you're an agency, your goal should be to maximize the results that you get out of the content that your model provides you, while simultaneously minimizing the amount of effort and work that your model has to do. So let's get into it. I'm Patio FM, your friendly neighborhood OnlyFans manager, managing girls in the top 1% and helping other OnlyFans management agency owners achieve their dreams of growing, scaling, and optimizing their own OnlyFans management agencies with the absolute best processes out there. Shoot me a follow and a DM to my Instagram, which is in the description of this video, and let's connect on Telegram. So one of the reasons why OnlyFans models work with OnlyFans agencies is because a good OnlyFans agency takes a ton of work off of their plate when it comes to anything content related, because good agencies can use content efficiently and effectively to get excellent results. Now, with that being said, content is absolutely essential to the industry. You can't really do anything without having content. So you need to set expectations up front with the model that you're likely going to be asking for a lot of content up front, but it's not necessarily going to be an ongoing thing, right? So, and you also need to explain the reasoning behind this hefty request. It's because you have certain traffic methods, whether it's TikTok or dating apps, that need very specific pieces of content in order to be successful. As an OnlyFans agency owner, you need to be fully sure that the content that you get from your model works for the top of funnel requests. So anything to do with driving traffic to the page, like social media stuff, TikTok, like I just mentioned, and also the bottom of funnel content as well. So anything that you sell on OnlyFans. It's good to spend this time with your model and get this content up front, and it'll ultimately save you a ton of time and a ton of headache later on if you spend the time doing it at the beginning. So to start out, let's talk about some of that bottom of funnel content that I was just referring to, the OnlyFans content, right? So as far as I'm concerned, there are 3 different types of OnlyFans content that you should be considering when building an OnlyFans models page. There's the wall content, there is the vault content, which is probably what the bulk of your content should be on OF. And then there is miscellaneous items like live streams and like story content. But starting with the OnlyFans wall. So the OnlyFans wall is extremely important because your job on the OnlyFans wall is to build interest with the fans for them to want to see more by DMing the model. Everything that you post on the wall should not be anything nude. It should be very suggestive, obviously, but you should not be sharing any nudes on the wall because you'd be removing the earning potential that you have in the DMs and the interest that potential fans and spenders could have when it comes to going on the OnlyFans models page. Now, with that being said, you need to build the page, especially if it's a new model, to actually have content on there. I would probably recommend around 30 photos and 10 short, just kind of flirty videos to put on there, and then buy likes for that model's page. You don't want the page to just have 2 photos and 1 video and no likes. Nobody's gonna subscribe to a page like that. They're gonna see it and they're gonna think immediately that it's some sort of scam or something. So you need to have that built out. When it comes to the short videos, I mean, like I said, it should be very, very simple, maybe like blowing a kiss or like a good morning video or something stupid like that. You need to have some sort of videos on there as well. And then last but not least, one of the main differences between free and premium accounts is that with premium accounts, you cannot post wall content with a paywall. So if a fan subscribes to a premium account, everything that's on the wall they can see. Now with a free account, what you can actually do is you can put a PPV wall on certain content. And the reason why that sometimes is a good idea is because some people come to OnlyFans just to see nudes. So they'd be willing to pay, $20 here, 30 bucks there, just to see a nude. They don't really want to build a relationship with the model. So it's important to try to appease those fans, especially with a free account, by posting something on their wall with good copywriting. So next is the vault content, which is where the bulk of the content that you're going to be selling and using on behalf of the model should reside, right? Now, when it comes to the vault content, probably the most important piece of content that you are going to want to have in there are sexting sets. So sexting sets are essentially a series of photos and videos that the model takes in a certain order to make it feel like the model is essentially doing some of these things with the fan live. So they usually start out fully clothed, and they'll slowly take off their clothes all the way to the point where they come and have an orgasm with the fan. This is the most important piece of content because a lot of fans on OnlyFans want to sext with the models, and if you have this content ready to go with an excellent script in combination with it, you can make a lot of money for each sexting set that you have. Now, the other things that you should have within the vault are long form videos and short form videos. So, 10-minute plus videos and less than 10-minute videos where they're using toys and also not using toys. Should also have, if the model is open to it, some boy-girl and girl-girl type content. Now, with that being said, just keep in mind, you have to have content release forms signed by the other people who are in those videos in order to share them and resell them. So just keep that in mind. And also, not all models are really comfortable with sharing that type of content. They'd rather just do solo stuff, which is perfectly fine. But just, I would, if it's possible to get that from the model, I would do it. Other things that you should consider are dick rating videos, because a lot of people ask for dick ratings, and if you can have some videos just ready to go that the model has pre-made, it's very easy to sell. A lot of times they ask for their name in the dick rating videos, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. Other content would be like jerk off instructions, so JOIs. They've gotten very popular, especially over these past few years. Fetish and niche content, so like feet content, things that meet certain niche kinks that people have. You should have a folder specifically for that type of stuff. Other things that you should really be considering should be like cosplay type stuff. Shower content always does really well, and you can actually use shower content in combination with some of the sexting sets for after sales, actually. And then you should also have audio files ready to go, and prove your real photos. Now, what prove your real photos are photos where the model's holding up like a peace sign, or they're touching their nose, or there's a bunch of different things that they can do. But a lot of times fans will say, hey, prove you're real by taking this photo right now. And if you have them ready, it just will really help your ability to sell. And lastly, when it comes to OnlyFans content, there's the live stream content and of course stories. Now with OF stories, it's pretty simple. You just post something similar to what you post on the wall, and you put some sort of call to action as like a caption on that OnlyFans story. And you can have fans who are just kind of passively on OnlyFans watching that, and they'll react to it, or they'll shoot the model a DM based on the CTA that you have on it, and you can engage them that way and get them into either sexting sets or just talking about what they're into, that type of thing. So stories are actually a pretty underrated part of OF that people overlook a lot. Now with live streams are cool because what I was talking about before, where at the top of the OnlyFans page it shows like pictures, videos, and the number of likes, there's actually something that pops up if the model does live streams as to the number of live streams that they've done. Now, the reason why that's important is because it actually proves that the page is even more real and fans get even more interested. And if the model consistently live streams, it shows the fans that she's really invested in her OnlyFans. So if you can convince and explain to your model the benefits of live streaming on OF, then that only takes the account that much further. And it's highly worth considering when it comes to OnlyFans. Also, live streams are a really good way to actually make a ton of money on OnlyFans. There's certain strategies that you can use. Like, for example, like when you first start out the live stream, you set the tip goal to be kind of low, like $250. And if they get to $250, then, the model will give a dildo a blowjob or something like that. And then once you hit that goal, then you set it to $500. And then you set it to $2,000. You just keep going up the ladder. You don't want to just start a live stream at like 3,000 tip goal. Like, it's going to be too high and people are going to be super hesitant to tip. But if you get closer to those tip goals, then people are more willing to tip. And then another thing, for example, that you could do is that you could say to like the crowd, you could have the model say like, I'm going to ban anyone from this live stream right now unless they tip $10 to stay on. So and this is with the free live streams, because you can put a paywall on them, but I usually don't recommend it just because you limit the ability for people to join. But the thing about it is, if you do that, then you're actually prompting people who want to stay on the live stream to pay, and it just helps. But there's a lot of different strategies you can do. Great way to make money. But that's just about it when it comes to the bottom of funnel content, or like the OnlyFans content. Now, when it comes to the top of funnel content, like social media related content and stuff that drives traffic to the OnlyFans, which is actually arguably almost more important than the bottom of funnel content, you should be considering and thinking, okay, what is going to minimize the amount of work that the model has to do when it comes to creating this type of content? Make sure to also pick and tailor your strategies and your content to the specific niche of the model that you're working with. Like, for example, if it's like an e-girl or like a gamer girl, Reddit strategies are extremely effective, as well as some TikTok as well. If it's like a fitness girl, I think that Instagram and TikTok are your two moneymakers. And then if it's just like a girl next door, I would say dating apps. Like, really figure out how to work dating apps. So really like tailoring the traffic methods and the type of content that you get from your model related to their niche will go a really long way. But let's get in a little more depth when it comes to some of these traffic sources and the content that goes with them. Starting with Reddit, for example. Reddit, first of all, you need to be doing your homework when it comes to identifying subreddits that will go well with whatever your model's niche is. So build out that list, figure out which ones need to be verified, which ones don't, which ones you can build karma on, whatever it is. So that's really important, like a prerequisite that I would recommend you do right before diving into Reddit. Now, when it comes to the actual content that you post on Reddit, I would say it should be pretty close to whatever you post on your OnlyFans wall. Obviously, make sure that you're meeting the subreddit's requirements, read the rules, and make sure that you're posting the right content on the right subreddit. Kind of goes without saying, but some people, don't really think about this sometimes. But it should not be nude. And I think that goes without saying. You want to build curiosity with people who are on Reddit scrolling these subreddits to potentially go to the OnlyFans page by clicking on their profile and going through the funnel that way. A lot of content that gets posted on Reddit is like niche and specific content. Like, you can find a subreddit dedicated to feet or e-girls or just whatever. So just make sure to pay attention to that as well and make content related specifically to those subreddits. Reuse content, but also don't be spammy. There are some pretty heavily black hat methods of promoting your model's content on multiple subreddits without looking spammy, by using multiple Reddit accounts and using like a spoofer, like a data spoofer, and different proxies. So just make sure to do your homework with that, though. It can be a little bit more complex. I would probably start with the basics to start. And like I said before, there are Reddit verification photos that need to be taken. So be prepared to educate your model on taking those. Next, we have TikTok, which TikTok is an interesting one because a lot of people and a lot of agencies think like, okay, so TikTok, you need to have original content and that's the only way you can be successful, which it actually is true, but there's ways to do this without making your model slave over, 20 TikToks every week, 20 dancing TikToks or something stupid like that. When it comes to TikTok, you should once again be thinking, okay, how do I minimize what the model has to do? Slideshows were popular there for a little bit, where you essentially make creative, funny slideshows and you can get people to engage that way, and still can be somewhat effective. But another thing that's been popping up is just having your model create a bunch of very short, simple videos of them just doing quick things with the camera, and then you as the agency, you come up with a funny caption to go along with it. And then when people are scrolling TikTok and they see a pretty girl with a funny and relatable caption, then they'll see that, engage with it, and probably even follow the model as well. So it's really an effective way to say, hey, model, can you please take just like 20 really super short videos? You don't even have to change your clothes, just take super short videos and send them to me, and then I'll do the rest. This way, your model only has to spend like 10 to 20 minutes making these videos, but it creates so much content that you as the agency can go out and use. And it's really just an effective way to do things when it comes to TikTok. Now for dating apps are interesting because you kind of need a lot of photos, but the nice thing about it is that they don't have to be like very specific photos. It can just be random photos from the model's real life or just things that she has on her camera roll that are not explicit. They have to be like photos where she's not being obviously suggestive. It has to be like relatable and real photos of the model. And it also should not be overly professional either. That would also be counterproductive when it comes to creating dating app profiles. But you need a lot of them, right? Because these dating apps, they're smart. And if you just reuse the same photo across, a bunch of different dating apps, they're gonna probably catch you and chain ban you across all of the different dating apps. So I'll get more into dating app strategies in a different video. That's not really what this is meant for. This is meant to just be like a content guide, but just make sure that you have a lot of different like types of photos for those dating apps. And then the other thing to consider when it comes to content for dating apps are the verification poses. You're gonna wanna get your model verified on these dating apps when you're going through some of these methods. So you need to have a surplus of these. They're really easy to take. They don't require your model to put on makeup or anything crazy like that, but you need a lot of them because you need a different one with different data for each time that you need to get the model re-verified on a different dating app. So the next pieces of content that you should be considering should be your funnel content. And what I mean by funnel is I mean Instagram and I mean Snapchat, because those are the two most commonly tools and applications used to funnel people to OnlyFans. It's like the last stop that they make. And because it's the last stop that they make before making the decision to subscribe to the OnlyFans, you need to make sure it looks good. If you have a shit Instagram or a shit Snapchat, you're gonna have a shit conversion rate. Now, starting with Instagram, you need to make sure that it looks real and it looks good and it looks put together properly, right? And what I mean by that is that your Instagram, it should be niche specifically focused. So if it's a gamer girl, you need to have gamer related stuff on that Instagram. You need to have some thirst traps. You need to provoke a little bit of curiosity when it comes to looking at their Instagram and potentially wanting to see more. You should have reels posted on there pretty often. I would say several per week if you can. Typically you can actually reuse content from TikTok, which would actually save you and the model a lot of time when it comes to creating reels. But other than that, it really should just be everyday pics. You should have stories on there at all times because stories make the profile look real. If you are not putting stories on the model's Instagram, then it will not look real and people aren't really gonna buy going to the model's OnlyFans. Putting highlights on there do a great job of making the Instagram look real as well. But I think the common theme when it comes to IG is just making it look legit. When it comes to Snapchat, you don't really need a ton, to be honest. So there's a couple different things you can do with Snapchat when it comes to funneling. The easiest is the passive Snapchat funnel, where you essentially associate a picture with your public profile on Snapchat and point people to OnlyFans. Doesn't have the best conversion rate compared to the other method, which would be having like chatters or a bot or something on Snapchat, like actively messaging people who are messaging you on Snapchat and converting them that way. If you use that method where you actually have chatters, you need to have a little bit more content. It just needs to be like certain pictures that that the chatters would be able to send to the fans or the potential subs to prove that it's actually her. And then if you're just doing the passive method, you literally just need one picture and it should have the right call to action on that picture. I guess the last thing that I kind of want to cover before wrapping this up is you should master the art of reusing and repurposing content, whether it's through spoofing the metadata associated with some of the content that you use so that you can reuse it on the same platform with different profiles that you have set up for the model, or you can just do simple things like flip it or post it to other platforms is another thing. Like for example, like Twitter and like Facebook Reels and Clapper and like YouTube Shorts and stuff, you can reuse a lot of this content that you make for these primary traffic methods like TikTok and Instagram and all of this other stuff on those platforms to just get extra traffic with minimal effort. So as an agency, you should think of every single possible way and think of ways outside of what I've even mentioned in this video. Like there's other ways, and like we're doing things in such weird ways that work, but I just don't want to like leak them because they're working so effectively. So you need to think outside of the box when it comes to driving traffic and reusing this content in any way that you possibly can. But yeah, so having a good, well thought out content plan for yourself as the agency owner for each of your models is really important right at the beginning. Because if you don't, you're going to be fumbling over what you're doing. You're going to be changing your direction, changing ideas, and you're not going to get anywhere and you're not going to get the results that you want. So having this is important. Make sure you spend some time writing this down. Write down exactly what you need in order to be successful. Now, with that being said, don't just hand your model a list of 1,000 different things that you need. That's just not going to work. It's going to put a really bad taste in your model's mouth if you say, hey, I just come up with this content schedule. Here's 1,000 things you need to do. That's ridiculous. Don't do it. Instead, break it up into bite-sized pieces, right? Now come up with a content schedule based on your list as to what you need to request on a weekly basis, and keep it simple. Don't be too crazy with it. Take your time. That's why you set those expectations up front. But let's give you an example. Like let's say your traffic method is like dating apps, for example. You would only want to ask for some dating app photos, some verification photos, and maybe one sexting set for that first week. Keep it pretty simple. Simple is going to always be more, and if you keep it simple, you'll be successful. But that's it, guys. I appreciate it. Leave me a comment if there's anything you think that I kind of missed here, or maybe something that you appreciated. But other than that, like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.